How's it going? Today we're going to be doing your most basic job on a motorcycle. We're going to be doing an oil change today, which is pretty exciting. And I'm excited to show you guys just the simple process of how to change the oil. And we're also going to be removing and changing the oil filter today. So first of all, in order to do an oil change, we've got to lift up the rear end of this motorcycle, take off the side fairings, and then we're going to have to take out the oil. We're going to need some sort of way to jack up the bike. So if your motorcycle has a center stand, that's great. In my case, I need a stand that lifts up the rear swing arm and the rear of the motorcycle. And you're also going to need some sort of catch pan or oil pan to catch the oil that you drain out. You're also going to need, in my case, oil filter. This is just a Honda OEM oil filter for this particular motorcycle. And you can also, while you're getting the oil filter, I just got it at the local parts store, you can also get a washer for your drain plug. It's so that your motorcycle doesn't leak oil after you put the drain plug back in. Let's look at some other tools we need. We're going to need some paper towel or rags. We're going to need a torque wrench just for torquing up the drain plug, and we're also going to need a funnel, and if you have a tight on there oil filter, you're going to need one of these oil filter strap tools, as well as in my case I'm just going to be using a standard ratchet set. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. So we now have the motorcycle on a stand. Next, I'm going to proceed by taking off the fairings. Now under here, I'd just like to take a look at the general state of the engine. I forgot to mention, you're supposed to warm the bike up before you change the oil. So that's the old filter we got there. Our oil plug is on that side. Okay, so first what we have to do is we're gonna have to take off that other side fairing, and we will proceed. Okay, so we have the fairings off now. Now we can proceed to take the oil out. Exciting. I'll put that under there like that. That should be enough storage to hold all the oil. And yeah, let's undo that bolt. I believe that one is a 14. Let's go check it out. I was wrong. It is a 17. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna crack it. Okay. Undone. I think that one was torqued down way too much.
After letting the oil drain, I noticed that the crush washer on the oil drain bolt had been torqued down a few too many times, and the washer was squashed around the base of the bolt's threads. Not to worry. By using a screwdriver and a set of pliers, I was able to carefully weaken the washer and get it off of the drain bolt. Next, we're moving on to the oil filter.
Alrighty guys, coming at you from the other side of the engine now. Now that we have most of the oil out, it's still dripping a little bit. Now we're going to proceed. We're going to take off this oil filter here. So this is the new one, that's the old one. As I said before, I do have this cool little strap tool that's going to allow me to take off this oil filter without too much trouble. But let's first see if I can get it with my hand, and then we'll proceed to the big guns. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this. Unfortunately, our thing is too big. That's okay. Come back at you once I have this thing off.
So, as you can see, my oil filter strap wrench was too big for the diameter of the oil filter. This means that I couldn't take it off with the wrench. Fortunately, I was able to take the oil filter off by hand. Once I took the filter off, oil drained out of the hole and into the drain pan. I let it drip for about 5 minutes. Unfortunately, I lost the footage for the rest of the oil change, so I will voice over the remaining steps, so there you go. While you're waiting for the oil filter outlet to drip, it's time to put the oil drain bolt back on. The oil drain bolt had a crush washer on it when I took it out, so I'm going to put a new one on before installation. Just slide it over the threads on the bolt. Next, you're going to want to screw in the oil drain bolt by hand back into the threads where the oil is draining from. If you screw it in with power tools, you might cross-thread it and damage your oil drain, which is a real pain to fix. It requires drilling a new hole and tapping new threads. Once the drain plug is hand tight, I need to torque it down. I recommend using a torque wrench for this, and not just going with Gorilla Tight as one of my viewers commented on my lawnmower video. For this particular motorcycle, the torque spec is 38 Newton meters or 27 foot-pounds. A little bit over or under is fine since the crush washer can squeeze out, but too much will cause the washer to get squished into the threads like you saw near the start of the video. This can be a pain to fix as well. Next, we're going to put on the new oil filter. I took my jug of new oil, which for the CBR 600 F2 is 10W40 oil, and I cracked it open. I also went and took the plastic off the new oil filter. I then took my gloved hand and dipped my finger into the fresh oil. I took my finger and lathered the new oil filter's seal with the oil on my finger. It's also a good idea to pre-fill the oil filter with new oil. If you start the motorcycle up with a dry filter, the oil pump will not be able to get oil to the rest of the oil passages in the engine until the filter is fully saturated. This means your engine will be running for a couple seconds without oil flow, which might not destroy it, but is generally not good for your engine's health. To pre-fill the oil filter, place the filter down with the hole facing up. Put your funnel into the oil filter and then carefully pour new oil from the oil jug into the oil filter. An oil filter, it's not that big, so it will fill quickly. If you're doing this over concrete, do this over some spare cardboard so that it won't stain the ground if you make a spill. Once you have pre-filled the oil filter and lubricated the rubber seal, you can then screw the oil filter onto the threaded outlet tube by hand. You only need to tighten it hand tight. Trust me, it will not leak. You can tighten it as much as you want by hand, but do not use any tools or you will have a very difficult time to remove it in the future. Perfect. Now I have the oil filter and drain plug back on. I can focus on filling the bike back up with oil. As a note, make sure the bike is straight up and down and level when you're checking the oil level. The oil level is designed to be checked when the bike is straight. Twist the dipstick and take it out. Place the funnel into the dipstick hole. Then I like to turn the oil jug on its side and pour slowly into the funnel. I stop and check the oil level after about 10 seconds or so. Keep doing this until you see your oil level on the dipstick right below the full line. You don't need to twist the dipstick in each time. It is designed to measure the oil level when it's not threaded in. Now all you have to do is put your dipstick back in. Put the fairings back on and start it up. Check for oil leaks, and there you go. That's how you change the oil on your CBR 600 F2.